call this meeting of the Jamestown City Council work session to order. The clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Shelton.
Here.
Brackman. Here. Bernadini.
Here.
Reynolds.
Present.
Faulkner.
Here.
Bonfiglio.
Here.
Diversa. Russell.
Here.
And President Bolt.
Here. Okay. At this time, if there's anyone here that would like to address the council from the public, please state your name and address and limit your remarks to 5 minutes. If anyone here would like to speak.
Alright, I'm starting to worry now, you got me on first name. I mean, no, that's a good thing, I mean, God, at least I'm on the right side here. Paul Wolf, 212 Fulton. Okay, so, I'm sorry if I go a minute or two over 5 minutes, it's only because I may get emotional, because this one is really, truly personal. It just happened the other day, and it may have happened to other folks, so, you know, maybe they might come forward and provide their own story. There's something really wrong with our institutional law enforcement here in Jamestown, and I apologize for the representatives here in the room. I have nothing against you folks, nothing but good interactions here. Okay? I went in to report what I believe was officer misconduct, and I believe the chief would send an email about it, maybe the mayor. I was told that would happen, but I don't know. That's why I'm here. It's just, you know, like I said, to let folks know. I went in to report what I believe was officer misconduct, and at the window I was greeted by a receptionist who asked me relevant questions, you know, name, address, things that you should. She asked me about the crime that was initially involved, and I told her that wasn't relevant to the officer misconduct. She insisted that I was arguing with her. Went into the room behind the reception window, talked to someone, returned with an officer who had no name tag, just the word SWAT on his arm, who then asked me the same questions, which I gave him the same answers, and I told him I was there to report what I believed to be officer obstruction, or officer misconduct. Anyway, to keep it a little bit shorter, he proceeded to say to me, and I apologize for the language, I know this is a public forum and it is publicly streamed, but this is what happened to me. The officer proceeded to say to me, "You're gonna answer my fucking questions, or you're gonna sit the fuck down and shut the fuck up." I don't know his name, and I apologize for that. And I do know that he is the one that the receptionist spoke to. In the meantime, between that incident and now, I spoke with the Deputy Chief Forrester, I believe is his name. Very welcoming man, very, very open to communication. I actually didn't even know I was talking to him. I was explaining to him that I was looking to speak to him, and he didn't even tell me it was him at first. You know, he listened to my whole story, he listened to the whole thing, and throughout he told me that it was wrong and it shouldn't have happened. And unfortunately, knowing that it's wrong and knowing that it shouldn't happen obviously doesn't stop it from happening. It's just my personal story. I don't feel that the public should be treated that way, and this is what's happening. If it's addressed behind closed doors, that's awesome. Hopefully next time it doesn't happen, but am I going to be willing to come in next time? That's what you got to look at. When you come in and experience things like that, as a citizen, you're trying to do the right thing and report what you believe to be a crime. You get treated that way. It's not right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I have a quick question.
Yes. I'm sorry.
You said the officer had SWAT on his arm. Was
Yes, sir.
this officer in uniform?
I wouldn't say specifically in uniform.
What were they wearing?
He didn't have a badge or anything like that. It was a gray, like running jacket style jacket. I don't know the material or anything. I'm not, you know, up to date on that stuff.
So they weren't in a police uniform like
No.
what the chief is
No,
wearing?
not like the chief at all. But it clearly did say on the, if I'm looking at him, it would be the right arm. It said clearly SWAT.
You know if the officer was wearing a body camera by any chance?
That I'm not aware of. And on body cameras, actually, I have a question about that. When they turn on, the orange light on the chest comes on. My wife was asking because she wanted to know if there would be body cam footage of certain interactions that she had with the police. That's the only reason I asked that. If it's not information I'm allowed to have, cool, I can accept that answer.
The chief can weigh in on this, but when officers have contact with the public at all, per their general orders, they have to operate their body cameras. So
Okay.
yes, they will always have them on.
Okay. But as far as that officer, as far as I know, he didn't have a body camera. Like I said, he wasn't wearing a name tag, he wasn't wearing a badge of any sort, any kind of uniform like the chief's wearing, like the fire chief is wearing, like I've seen on the officers. It was just a jacket with the word SWAT on the right arm. I don't know if he's JPD SWAT, I don't know if he's Buffalo SWAT. He's a shorter man, looked to be Hispanic, but I don't know.
Did you meet with the chief?
I did not meet with the chief, no, but I did
You
meet,
met with
I did
Deputy
meet
Chief
with Deputy
Forrester?
Chief Forrester, yes, and like I said, he's an amazing man. He
Well,
actually answered the initial question that I was looking to get answered with no problems.
Well-
Had the officer at the window answered with the same information, it never would have escalated to what it did. And
Well,
that's
yourself,
the sad part, sorry.
yourself or anyone from the public is always able to file a formal
Yes.
personnel complaint
From
against
my
anyone.
understanding, unless my information that I've been given is wrong, you have to do that in person in writing at the police department. And when you have that interaction, do you really want to go back to file a complaint again? You have to consider that from our point of view. I don't have your experience in law enforcement either, so I don't understand your point of view. But from my point of view, I don't want to go talk to them people again. Why would I? I was already bullied and intimidated at the window when I tried to do the right thing in the first place. Why would I go in to write something? You get what I'm
Right,
saying?
but if you're meeting with a chief or a deputy chief, I think would be,
And I assume, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but I'm kind of old fashioned, I take people at their word. If the deputy chief said to me that he would handle it, I take him at his word. But it is something that the public does need to know about, because I can't be the only one that's happened to.
so
And
you're,
if it is happening over and over.
but you're saying you didn't file a formal officer?
No, I did not.
Okay,
I did speak in person with Deputy Chief Forrester, and he did listen to the story, and he
Okay.
did tell me he was not happy with it, and he would address the situation.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right. Again, thank
Anyone
you for
else?
your time.
I don't think you can speak. Alright, anybody else?
I guess, again, my name is Larry Coon, I live at 215 Fulton. I've had some run-ins in my past with Mr. Russell. Believe it or not, I remember you from a very long time ago.
I don't remember you, so
30
must,
years.
must not have been that bad.
It
Go ahead.
ended on a good note.
Okay, that's good.
It's actually part of why I've decided to come and partake in the meetings. I'm not one who likes public people. I'm a self-secluded type of individual. Up until this person that lived across the street moved in, you guys probably would have never even known I was here. Because I prefer to be by myself and away from everybody. My son, who I've talked about a few times, has developed a thing where he literally, when he's talking to you, he is flicking his hands by his head because of this woman. He is autistic. As a father, I don't know how many of you have children, but as a father of an autistic child, it hurts to watch my son go through something he shouldn't have to. I've had recordings of these people making threats minutes before the officers show up. They do nothing. There's gonna be a time where they do something and the cops aren't gonna be there in time. I'm afraid because I am a mental illness patient. I do have mental problems, and they are pushing these issues. I asked for a little help, that's all I asked for. And it doesn't seem like we're getting it. Good people in this town wanna stay here. They don't wanna have to leave. But with these kind of people dictating what they can and cannot do, it doesn't make us feel safe. We don't want to be somewhere we're not safe. I've had a lot of issues just because of my last name. Simply because of my last name. it's known in the dictionary, you can look it up, as a racist slur or an animal. That is it. It's not a surname like it should be. My family came to this country many years before we became a country. We defended the Underground Railroad, and we don't get to see that today. Because somewhere between A and B, things have gotten really messed up. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see anybody else. We'll move on to housing. Shelley?
We didn't have anybody from the public speak. We did have Casey Falk, Deputy Director there at DOD, join us. And even though it wasn't on our agenda, we did have a discussion about the Jamestown City Property Maintenance Code, specifically section 215, subsection 41.1, about the change of the language in the resolution. Not a whole lot of concern, but because of the way the paper flows and the way that forms are being completed and where they're going, it made sense to endorse that change under that resolution. Casey added that a lot of the forms are gonna be up and running under GovPilot and be able to be more user-friendly on the computer for landlords and tenants to get the information that they need concerning that project. Regina brought up a concern with some trash being accumulated at the warming center down on 10th and Wash. Casey was aware of the complaint, and a letter's gone out to the building owner, and hopefully within a few days that unsightly and mountain of trash will, she said about 30 bags will be removed and taken care of. We talked about the status of JBC being donated to St. Susan's and UCAN, and Casey added that some of the planning and modifications are in progress for that, and that lastly, we talked about other alternatives for getting people out of the cold, and it's reported that UPMC hallways are filled during the day where people can get warm and get out of the weather, and that the coalition that Casey attends via Zoom, the Homeless Coalition meeting monthly, and the contact number for concerns is 211, and a lot of those profiles, either the companies or the people involved in the programs that are specific to some of the Homeless Coalition entities is being asked that all those get updated and taken care of. So, Casey, I need anything to add that we talked about, or Regina?
I
No.
don't think so.
I mean, and I don't really wanna like skim over the complaint that's coming from the residents there, about that warming center. The only thing that there was an issue brought up that when the people are leaving the warming center, they are going up to that Robomart on 9th Street and have been harassing, the attendants there about staying, so that's why I think we were talking about other places that they can go
Yeah.
during the daytime to, just that whole quality of life. Nobody wants trash in their backyard, and nobody wants to be harassed while they're at work.
Thank you. That's it, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. Brent, finance?
Thank you, Mr. President. We had 6 resolutions. The first is payment on public improvement bond issued November 19, 2013. defeasance of 2004 Chautauqua County IDA bonds, the amount of $405,000 in principal and $44,000 for 6 months interest. This was for parking ramp improvement work. This is the first payment scheduled for this year. The second is an interest-only payment due August 1st, 2025. That was passed. Second was another public improvement bond, Series A, issued April 22nd, 2015. The amount of $190,000 in principal and $36,431 for 6 months interest. This was for a variety of things back then, DPW equipment, police and fire radios, trade supplies, and city hall improvements. It's the first of 2 payments scheduled for this year. The second is an interest-only payment, which is due July 15, 2025. And that passed. The next is a lease with Legal Assistance of Western New York, 115 East 3rd Street, which is the first floor of the Spring Street grant. They've been a long-time tenant there. Their current lease expired at the end of last year. So we have a 5-year lease, which has approximately $1,400 increase each year throughout the life of the lease. That was approved. And next was entered into a purchase agreement with Home Depot of 935 Fairmount Avenue for the purchase of community outreach, educational furniture, equipment, and supplies for a total amount not to exceed $469.11. This is subject to the terms and conditions of the 2023 Nicholas and Zachary Burton Memorial Carbon Monoxide Poisoning Prevention Grant Program. That was approved. And these next two also are from that same grant program. Another purchase agreement with Home Depot for the purchase of tools and equipment to be used for the installation of combination smoke and carbon monoxide detectors for a total amount not to exceed $1,020.97. That was approved. And finally, purchase agreement with Dival Safety Equipment Incorporated, Boston, New York, for the purchase of 1,000 combination smoke carbon monoxide detectors for a total amount not to exceed $41,000.00. That was approved. Keith, I don't know if you want to mention this program and how the firefighters are going to be working on this?
Certainly. Thank you. The city received this grant. It came from the U.S. Consumer Protection Agency. It's a fairly new grant program. We were awarded in their very first year of distributing funding. The fire department has long desired to have a carbon monoxide detector program that we can make available to the community. Carbon monoxide is odorless, tasteless, colorless. It's not able to be detected by one's own senses without some type of metering equipment. So in order to keep the community safe, we were successful in securing this grant. The staff members that work in the Fire Prevention Bureau downstairs, they were the ones that were very instrumental during the research for this grant program, and they ultimately will be the ones that will be responsible for installing them. For members of the community, we're really going to try to target low and moderate income residents, veterans, disabled persons, and those that are going to have a need within the community. Mostly homeowners is really what we're after. So we're hopeful that we can help to keep the community safe, and this is the first grant type of this type that we've ever been awarded, and I'm looking forward to it being a very successful thing. Thank you.
That was it.
Okay, thank you. Public safety, Jeff?
Thank you, Mr. President. We have 5 resolutions. Several of them also appear on finance, which Frank just spoke about. The first one was the property maintenance code section, changing some of the language on that as well. That passed. The second resolution was for that the mayor is hereby authorized to enter an agreement with the Jamestown Renaissance Corporation, JRC, for the purposes of JRC providing security cameras to the city for monitoring at Terrace Park and Winter Garden Plaza in downtown Jamestown, subject to approval of corporation council as to form. We talked about JRC's picking up the cost of that. And also those cameras will be wired into the Jamestown Police Department Command Center, so the command officer will be able to view those cameras at any time, 24 hours a day, which is a good thing because there's been some issues down there over the past year or two. So that passed. Resolution number 3 was, like I said, was on finance. That was for the purchase of the community outreach educational furniture, not to exceed $469.11 for the carbon monoxide poisoning prevention grant program, and that passed. The fourth resolution, also on finance, once again was for purchasing through Home Depot. The tools and equipment to be used for the installation of smoke carbon monoxide detectors, and that's for a cost of $1,020.97, and that resolution passed. And the fifth one, once again, was appeared in finance, and that was to purchase the 1,000 smoke carbon monoxide detectors, and for a cost of $30,078, and that passed as well. And then for informational reports, we had tour rate card request for Maggie Motors, and then the street light request that was previously requested by Mr. Paterniti on Norton Avenue. So, and that was about it, unless my colleagues want to add anything.
All right. There were no resolutions in public works. Was there anything of significance discussed or anything to report? We're good? Okay, move on. Move on, Mayor, report.
I have nothing for open session. I only have the need for 2 executive sessions. One regarding personnel, specific personnel. 2, second is ongoing litigation. Elliot, you want to do the first, because we only need Mark to stay, is that correct?
Yes.
What's the second one?
Ongoing litigation.
Okay,
That is it
very good.
from me.
So do I have a motion to go into executive session? So moved by Councilman Reynolds, second by Councilman Faulkner, all in favor? Aye. We're in executive session.